extraordinary producer, filmmaker, writer, director, creative force. Lisa Cortes sort of first came to cultural work through her work in music, her work at Def Jam, and then has also worked in motion pictures, mainly in narrative, mainly in scripted work, working with Daniels, working with Phyllis DeRoy, Ernest Dickerson, wonderful one, Akusa, and has worked in television, and this is an extraordinary documentary that you have produced. So tell us a little bit how this came to be, how you came to be the producer working with Roger Ross Williams, who's not here, but we must also give him a huge
So Roger, our director, is the alpha and the omega on this project. And he so wishes he could be here tonight. And unfortunately he wasn't able to, but he's from Eaton, Pennsylvania, and I think there might be some family in the house. And he's so grateful to everyone coming. Roger is the first African American to win an Academy Award in documentary. And
as director.
Yes, as a director. And just, I ran into him at a party at Sundance. And he said, "What are you doing? What are you working on?" I had just finished producing a double play, a narrative film that I shot on the island of Curacao that Ernest Dickerson directed. And I was like, I don't know, I'm actually going to premiere double play at Rotterdam for the King of Holland, and then I don't know what's next. And he said, "Well, I'm just come on board the Apollo. And I know you live in Harlem, and you grew up at the Apollo, and I would love if you would join me on this journey." And it's been the most incredible experiences of my life to unite my love of history, music, and for my people in this piece.
I really want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about this process of being a producer, being a creative producer, and really talking about what does that entail in this process of making this documentary?
I think one of the key tenets in producing is having passion for the project and for your director in equal parts, for the vision that they bring to it. And there's incredible framing. It was very daunting to look at 85 years of our history. And I found that the approach to this was something that spoke to me because it wasn't linear. As a creative producer, it is everything from searching for archival, which is quite daunting, and it's going and calling people up and badgering them, and going in basements, and with pushing the mice and whatever out of the way and saying, "Okay, we found the VHS tape," and then hoping that the VHS tape is going to have the footage of the restoration of the theater. It is, it's weekly meetings, it's budgets, it's finding the right EPs, it's from beginning to end. It is saying, let's start the film over because we started, it's being up there in the back to make certain that this film is birthed the right way and presented with the love that went into it.
One thing that I think distinguished it is sort of documentary, nonfiction film from scripted work is oftentimes it's really in the editing and in post-production that the film is made. Can you talk a little bit about two things? One, how the post-production process worked with this film, and then a little bit about the weave of stories, certainly the Ta-Nehisi Coates performance, the history of the Apollo, how that came to be.
Well, we were really lucky to have Jean Chen and John Fisher as our editors. Jean has worked a lot with Barbara Koppel. She did the Dixie Chicks, Shut Up and Sing. And so she's worked with music, but she's also had done Malcolm X, you know. So yes, and so both of our editors were. I think the best illustration is when you walk in the edit room. We had this timeline. So we had an American history timeline, you know, from 1934 to the present. We had an Apollo timeline of like seminal performances and moments there. We had a music timeline, and they had like a Black folks history timeline. So we were always looking at these timelines and seeing what are like, you know, magic moments where the conversation, our music, our other art forms, our protests, they're all coming together. Like, what are those kind of zeitgeist moments? And so that was a tool that was very helpful in the construction of this. I think in terms of process, you know, like there was obviously those moments, but really in terms of weaving things in and out, we stumbled across, and I think that's the joy of documentary filmmaking. You know, with a script, you know, you have 93 pages, you know, boy loves girl, loves boy, loves whomever, and they all live together. And that's your story. This, with the documentary, you think it's about like, oh, we're gonna spend the whole day with Billy Mitchell because every Sunday he goes to the African burial ground to respect the elders, and then we're going to go with him. And we shot that. But it was when we were interviewing Camilla, and she said, yeah, you know, next month I'm going to Mass MoCA, and I'm going to start to put together the stage reading of Between the World and Me, that was that magic moment. And we said, wow, that book is so important, and it's speaking, and it's connected to, you know, the souls of Black folks, but also the art that we create. And so that was a moment in terms of process that we said, we can follow this and use this to pivot from what is happening now to what happened 30 or 40 years ago, because there is a continuum, and sometimes it's an unfortunate continuum, but also it's a continuum that produces great work.
And I want you to talk, and sometimes it's hard to isolate the influences that sort of bring us to act, but I mean, your work in narrative, in scripted films, and also your work in music, how did that influence how this project came about?
Well, I'm always interested in what are considered outliers, because the outliers who, I think, you know, that's how we've been seen in Black folks have been seen in this world. We create the culture, we turn the world. And so what is like, you know, what's hip hop, what's marginal back in the day is everything now. And so I like to work with the voices that look to the future, that are pushing culture and expression forward, that are on the edge yesterday, but are dictating everything tomorrow, today and tomorrow.
I wanted to let the house, if anyone in the audience, this is your chance to talk with Elisa Cortes, if you have questions or comments about the film. And I can't really see, yes.
Yeah,
and
their mics on the
microphone, please.
Their mics things like
Already have it?
Yes, so they're in the aisle here
Good.
and here.
If I know I had to get up, I would ask a question. Okay, hi. So there was incredible archival in this film and things that I've never seen before. And being an Indigenous filmmaker and having just completed a film that screened here, when I was in the process of looking for, you know, images of women in the American Indian movement in the 70s, I ran into roadblocks of things that I could get, because there is a huge consolidation happening right now of who owns this material, and they don't care what you need it for, and they don't care who's going to see it or who should be able to see it, and sometimes there were things we just were not going to be able to bring back to community and see. So I'm wondering, in this process, how was that for you all, and how did you go about unearthing those things, and were there things that you weren't able to get because of money and access.
You speak to something that was a big issue, and as I said earlier, there were times it was about a personal intercession. It was going into somebody's kitchen and talking to them, and going in their basement and excavating through layers of dust and who knows what. You know, our histories are such that oftentimes we left our homes in the middle of the night, or our homes were burned down and we lost important parts of our history. Did we get everything we wanted? Yes, because I'm a Capricorn and I don't give up. And I'm also so lucky to have an incredible personal tribe in my life of friends that I can call and say, would you please put a call in so that we can get this interview? Can you please contact this archivist? And I called them and would say, like, this film is important. No one has ever done a documentary about this most important institution, and work with us. You know, I think that personal touch helps. And, you know, I'd like to say that we have an incredible person here from the Smithsonian. And not to call out, but, you know, I think that they're a fantastic resource, and it takes time, though. It takes time to open doors and to, you know, have those cups of coffee, but they're worth it.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Thank you, Lisa, for highlighting the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Apollo Theater. As a creative, my question is to you. What were your thoughts when you saw those figures, those numbers, that those artists were getting paid? And how do you see artists being able to get money today, and the fairness in that?
Well, I think, you know, what they were being paid is a continuation young plantation system. So that's, you know, and what I thought about. But it's an interesting conversation that Roger and I oftentimes have as we travel around with this film, when we look at so much of not just what has been created, but what we've built, and we oftentimes say, how many slaves did it take to build that building, that fort? You know, this is, the inequity is not limited just to entertainment, unfortunately, in terms of our contributions and the recognition, you know, of it. I think for artists now, you know, your IP and your branding is so important, and that you should take the time to learn about how you can protect your content.
Good evening. Thank you, Lisa, just for being able to do. I'm just going to be raw. I thank you so much for creating a platform for artists who really care. As a person that vibes off of soul, I needed to see that. I needed to see the not so glamorous aspects of Black entertainers in a way that isn't just talking about struggle, like reintroducing the dark times and like showing the light and the true talent of, like, that inspired me from my soul, and I really thank you for that. That's it. I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Yes, as I was watching the documentary, first of all, very good documentary, you know, very interesting, you know, definitely very historic. But as I was watching the documentary, you know, especially when they started talking about how the Apollo started struggling after the, you know, passage of the Civil Rights era, and I started thinking about a trend that happened with other Black, you know, music theaters that we lost on, like the Uptown here in Philadelphia, the Harrow in Washington, D.C., illegal. Yeah, so my question is, what do you think our Black institutions, you know, and not just on the theaters, but even like our historical Black colleges and others, what could they have done differently to remain relevant, you know, even when things changed with the Civil Rights era, which gave, you know, our Black people more options?
So I don't think it's not a lack of being relevant. You know, the communities got shifted, either deliberately or not deliberately, and the dollars moved. I think though every cultural institutions there, you know, are things that rise from the phoenix. So I look at BlackStar as the institution that has come forth. And it speaks to how we are navigating and what we are, the content that we are creating now and the impact of it. And so I would hope that when you've been on your Instagram this weekend and your Facebook, you've been talking about how incredible this experience is, how accessible it is, and how important it is. Because BlackStar we have to have 25 years of BlackStar, we need 85 years of